The first thing Asher did after winning the world championship in esports was dump his boss, his girlfriend Lyanna, the woman who first discovered his talent. Then, he turned around and signed with her biggest rival. Why? Because she had the audacity to shove her so-called childhood friend, who was like a little brother to her, Kenji, into their pro team. Not only did this bump Asher to the bench, but she even made him take the fall for one of Kenji's scandals. What Lyanna didn't expect was that Kenji was total deadweight. Without Asher carrying the team, they couldn't even beat amateur players, and the whole company was on the brink of bankruptcy. Lyanna lashed out at Asher, calling him heartless and a traitor, but she didn't realize their contract had long expired. Then, she watched Asher rise to the top with a new team, even saw him hold hands with her arch-nemesis, Serafina, on the championship podium. Finally, Lyanna broke down in tears, filled with regret. Chapter 1. Everyone in the esports scene knew Asher as a legendary champion. But once upon a time, he was just a gaming addict loitering in net cafes. It was Lyanna, his fiancée, who discovered him and gave him a shot at going pro. Asher paid her back with trophy after trophy, proving her eye for talent and solidifying their club, DG, as a powerhouse in the scene. People believed their wedding would one day be the ultimate love story in esports. Asher believed it too. That's why he didn't say a word when Lyanna transferred her best friend's little brother, Kenji, into the main roster. But from that moment on, everything changed. All the endorsements meant for Asher were handed over to Kenji by Lyanna, the club owner. She even forced Asher to cut his training time to personally coach Kenji from scratch. Asher put up with it until the eve of the World Championship. As he was training like mad to win the title for their team, Lyanna pushed him out to take the heat for Kenji's scandal. When Asher questioned her, she just waved it off like it was no big deal and pulled him off the lineup. Kenji's record needs to stay clean, she said. You're about to retire anyway. It's okay to take the fall, and we'll postpone the wedding. I need to handle getting Kenji into the tournament lineup instead of you. That was it for Asher. He didn't hesitate. He picked up the phone and called their rival team. The moment the hate flooded his Instagram comments, Asher had just wrapped up another grueling day of training. His wrists were sore, and as he picked up his phone, he froze in shock. Hashtag Asher can't take a loss. Hashtag Asher is a sore loser. Hashtag Asher should retire. These hashtags were blowing up the trending list. He tapped into the top post and saw a picture posted by the company's official site. Kenji's account wide open on Asher's computer desktop. It turned out that in a casual show match stream, Kenji, now the most hyped player in the scene, had rage quit mid-game after losing 3 rounds in a row. Viewers lost it. They started flaming Asher, calling him a coward, demanding he quit the scene. As the drama spiraled, the company put out a clarifying statement. Kenji vanished from public scrutiny, but Asher became the scapegoat, labeled as the deserter who couldn't handle defeat. Asher couldn't believe it. Something felt off, like a misunderstanding. Panicking, he rushed to Lyanna's office and knocked. Lyanna, what the hell is going on? But she didn't even turn around, brushing him off as she typed. Leave. I'm negotiating a collab deal for Kenji. I'll talk to you tonight. Asher didn't budge. He opened his mouth to speak, but she cut him off with irritation. Get out. He stood by the door, staring at her back for a long time, and finally left in silence. His Instagram was flooded with hate, notifications popping up one after another until his phone completely froze. Just before it shut down, he glanced at the time. It was already 5 a.m., and Lyanna still hadn't shown up. Asher got up to find her, but just as he stepped into the hallway, he ran straight into Lyanna coming out of Kenji's room. Asher wanted to confront her, but their voices drifted into his ears. First, Kenji spoke in a soft, whiny tone. Lyanna, I was just being overwhelmed by the opponent and got a bit anxious. It's all my fault for being impulsive. Lyanna replied with a gentle smile in her voice. It's not your fault. I won't let anything happen to you. The company decided to pin everything on Asher. The official statement is already out, and his account is controlled by the company now. Don't worry. They kept talking, but Asher couldn't hear the rest. He leaned numbly against the wall. There was no misunderstanding. Lyanna's words were clear. Asher had been thrown under the bus intentionally. It felt like a threaded needle pierced right through his heart, the thread pulling tight around his chest, making it hard to breathe. Asher knew then that as long as it involved Kenji, he didn't stand a chance. Kenji was the little brother of Lyanna's best friend, basically her childhood friend. The moment he said he wanted to go pro, Lyanna signed him on the spot, told Asher to give up his training time to coach him personally, even helped him become the top of the rookie squad. He said he wanted brand deals, so Lyanna gave him Asher's. She ditched Asher at their anniversary to have a candlelit dinner with Kenji instead. He wanted more publicity, so she benched Asher, had him lead the friendly match, even introduced him to the tournament organizers, and never came back to the base that night. And yet, she was the girlfriend Asher had been with for 5 years. They were supposed to get married soon. Asher could have let everything else go, but she knew full well how much he valued competitive esports, and still branded him as that sore loser just to keep Kenji's image clean. Asher's hands dropped helplessly to his sides. He walked back to his room. He glanced at the expiration date on his contract. He was done with this team. He picked up his phone and called the rival organization CEO. "You still need a player?" he said. "I'm ready to transfer to your team." Chapter 2. The person on the other end of the line sounded surprised, but said nothing else, just readily agreed. "Seriously, this isn't because of that show match drama, right? Don't worry, bro, I believe in you. Anyone who knows what they're doing can tell that kind of trash gameplay couldn't have been you. If you're sure about this, we'd be happy to have you join anytime." Asher couldn't help feeling a bit moved. He thanked him and hung up the call. The very next second, a knock came at the door, and Lyanna walked in, expressionless. She handed Asher an offer letter and said flatly, "You know that Kenji's dream is to go pro, and right now, he's the most popular player in the scene. The club can't let him take the fall for this scandal, so you're going to take the blame. I won't let you suffer for nothing, though. Once the World Championship is over, you'll take over as head coach. That way, you can also focus on wedding planning." Asher glanced sideways at the offer letter. After a long silence, he clenched his fists. "And you know full well that going pro was my dream. You know how hard I fought to get here." "Dream?" Lyanna cut him off impatiently, her tone laced with barely hidden sarcasm. "You're about to retire. Can a dream put food on the table? Just keep your mouth shut about this. Not a single word against Kenji, you hear me?" Asher closed his eyes. Suddenly, he remembered himself 5 years ago, bouncing between small gaming cafes, playing local matches, back when the professional scene felt like an impossible fantasy. He barely scraped by on tiny prize pools, and he honestly thought he'd live his whole life that way, grinding games in a smoky net cafe by day, taking whatever odd job he could find just to survive. Then Lyanna appeared out of nowhere after one of his matches. Her eyes were shining as she reached out her hand. "You've got real talent. Would you come with me to DG? Trust me, you'll become the brightest champion on the pro stage." And she was right. Lyanna helped Asher realize his dream, just like she promised. He became an unshakable champion. But now, the dream they built together was nothing more than an inconvenience in her eyes. Snapping back to the present, Asher didn't argue anymore. His gaze locked on the contract as he quietly asked, "My contract, it only has 1 month left, right?" Lyanna followed his eyes to the document, her brows furrowed tighter and tighter. She was just about to speak when her phone rang. After taking the call, her irritation surged. She shoved the offer letter into Asher's hand, her voice icy. "Once the contract ends, step down and take the coaching role quietly. Next month's wedding is postponed. Other than that, I need to protect Kenji's public image." She then turned and stormed out, slamming the dorm door behind her. Asher stood frozen for a long time. Finally, his fingers moved. He crumpled the offer letter into a ball and tossed it into the trash. Staring at the empty room, he said to no one in particular, "No need to postpone. There won't be a wedding." He was done with DG and with Lyanna. Asher got up and headed downstairs to train. Just as he reached his station, Lyanna walked in with Kenji by her side. She scanned the room and handed Asher the suitcase she was holding. "Kenji is joining the main roster starting today. Help him carry his luggage to the dorm. Don't let him strain himself. A pro player's hands are precious. I've got other things to handle." Asher didn't take the suitcase. He just stared at her in silence. Seeing him remain silent, Kenji put on a pitiful expression and shamelessly wrapped his arm around Lyanna's. "Lyanna, I think Asher doesn't really like me. Maybe I should just carry my stuff myself. My hands are valuable, but mine aren't." Asher suddenly cut in, his voice cold and emotionless. Lyanna patted Kenji's head to comfort him, but turned her frown to Asher. Do you have to be so aggressive? We're getting married soon, aren't we? That makes Kenji your little brother too. So what's with the attitude? Asher sneered and curled his lips, a memory surfacing. The celebration party after he won his first official match. Back then, Lyanna hadn't even let him lift a glass of champagne. She had gently cradled his hand in her arms, carefully rubbing his fingers, her eyes glowing as she announced, "This is DG's legendary right hand. If anyone dares to touch it, they'll have to go through me." The girl from that memory overlapped with the woman in front of him. So those same words, she could say them all over again for Kenji. Asher didn't respond. He just turned and sat down, powering on his computer. Whatever. The contract ends in a month, and the wedding, that's already off the table. Lyanna looked at him in disbelief. Asher had always been obedient to her, never defied her. Once irritated, she knocked on the desk. "What's with this tantrum you're still going on?" Right then, Kenji tugged at her arm excitedly, pointing at the gear setup in front of Asher. "Lyanna, Asher's setup looks so cool. Can I have it?" Lyanna hesitated. That gear was a gift from her, a token of their love. She'd given it to Asher, hoping he'd carry it with him to the national stage. And he did. With that very setup, he brought home championship after championship for her. That gear meant everything to them, and she knew that. But now Kenji wanted it. Lyanna paused for a long moment, just about to speak, when Asher cut her off. He stood up, face blank, and handed over his headset. His voice fell flat and clear by her ear. "Fine, take it. I don't want it anymore." Chapter 3. Lyanna paused, a strange emotion flickering across her face. But she softened her expression and spoke. "At least you're being sensible, Kenji. Let's go upstairs." Asher watched the two of them go up coldly, not moving until their figures disappeared from sight. Only then did he return to prepare for training. But just as he sat down, he heard Lyanna calling his name. He wanted to ignore her completely, but then he remembered he hadn't locked the door, so he sighed and went upstairs. Sure enough, Kenji had already toured every corner of Asher's room. "Asher, your dorm room seems way bigger than the others. Could you give it to me? I don't feel comfortable in small spaces, and I have a lot of stuff. That last empty room will have to be used for storage. Asher, maybe you could find somewhere else to stay." He looked innocent, but his tone made it clear he was used to getting his way, a spoiled rich kid giving orders in disguise. Asher looked at Lyanna, not expecting her to take his side. He was leaving at the end of the month anyway. It didn't matter where he slept. There was a small match tomorrow, and he didn't want to waste training time. So he agreed without hesitation. "Where should I move to?" Lyanna clearly hadn't expected Asher to give in so easily. She reflexively tried to explain, "Kenji's been spoiled by me and his sister since he was little. If he gets uncomfortable, it might affect his performance in the match." Then, realizing Asher had already agreed, she paused and corrected herself. "The storage room. The dorms for trainees are all full. There's still a bed in the storage room that hasn't been removed." Asher didn't question it, simply nodded. All right. He couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Never thought he, a starting player in the main team for 3 years, someone who had helped win countless championships for the company, would one day be treated worse than a trainee, relegated to sleeping in a storage room. From the corner of his eye, he caught sight of Kenji, who'd entered the main team without any resistance. Asher thought the gap between people really can be huge. The finish line he had fought so hard to reach was just the starting line for someone like him. Seeing Asher agree, Kenji wore a victorious expression and lifted his chin slightly. "Asher, hurry up and pack your stuff. Don't waste time meant for training." Asher walked straight over to his suitcase and started packing, treating the two of them like air. A moment later, he was pushing his suitcase out. "Have the cleaning staff throw the rest out. I don't need it." Next second, Lyanna grabbed Asher's arm. Her eyes flickered. Pointing to the room, she asked, "You forgot your keyboard and speakers?" Asher immediately shook off her hand. "Didn't forget. I don't want them." Lyanna glanced around the room again and added, "And the suit? Wasn't that the tux you ordered for your engagement? How could you forget that?" Asher didn't even look back and headed straight downstairs. Only a calm, emotionless voice was left in the air. "I don't want that either. If he likes anything in there, he can take it." Lyanna froze. A sudden wave of unease made her instinctively try to follow. But just as she moved, Kenji wrapped an arm around her. He leaned in with a pitiful, gloomy voice. "Lyanna, Asher must be upset with you because of me. It's all my fault, but it's fine. You go calm him down first. I'll take my time packing. Lyanna hesitated, then stepped back. It's okay. Kenji, you're my brother. Of course, I should take care of you first. Come, I'll help you pack. Asher carried his luggage to the storage room. It was relatively clean, just clearly unused for a long time, giving off a gloomy air. He stared at the simple folding bed by the wall for a long while before putting his suitcase down and heading back upstairs. Forget it. Before he joined the main team, he'd endured worse conditions than this. Only 1 month left. This was nothing. What mattered most now was tomorrow's match. He had to focus on training. Asher gathered the team as usual, but the four of them stood there in uncharacteristic silence. He frowned, raising his voice slightly. If you've got something to say, then say it. Any sport, teamwork is everything. After a long pause, the support finally spoke, reluctant and dismissive. You're about to leave anyway. What's the point of practicing synergy now? Chapter 4. Asher furrowed his brows tightly, about to speak, but Marcus, the player in the ADC role, spoke up first. Exactly. Might as well let Kenji lead us. He's got way more connections and backing than you ever did. Asher froze for a moment, then he let out a laugh. Any sport, being bad is the real sin. What matters is skill, not connections. Marcus shot back immediately, sarcasm dripping from his voice. So what if you can't win over Boss Lyanna? You're getting kicked out anyway. You really think you're that special? Either way, we're not following you anymore. That's when it hit Asher. Somewhere along the way, the teammates he had fought side by side with for 3 years had also learned to kiss up and kick down. Asher didn't have the energy to argue. He just sat down and silently resumed his own training. Fine. With the teamwork they'd built over 3 years, tomorrow's small match shouldn't be a problem. The next morning, they arrived at the venue separately. As Asher organized his gear, he noticed the teammates glancing sideways at him, but he didn't pay much attention. Just as he was about to head on stage and set up his peripherals, Leo, their mid laner, tugged at him. He lowered his voice and said, Asher, you don't know? You're benched for this match. The starter is Kenji. Asher froze. Lyanna arrived just then with Kenji in tow. Kenji glanced at Asher's gear bag, covered his mouth, and giggled. Asher, didn't Lyanna tell you you're my sub for this match? Lyanna's eyes moved to Asher's face. Yes, it's time for Kenji to gain some experience on stage. You'll sit out for now. We'll bring you in if needed. With that, she started to walk away with Kenji, but Asher didn't stop what he was doing. He kept packing up his gear. Lyanna frowned. Didn't you hear me? Kenji is starting. I'm warning you, don't cause trouble. Asher didn't even look up. If I'm not needed, then I'll head back to train. Lyanna's face shifted instantly. She softened her tone, trying to calm him down. This was a collective decision from the higher-ups. Don't be petty, just stay put. We'll definitely need you later. Asher paused, then finally sat down to wait on standby. This was about the match. He didn't want the undefeated reputation he had built over years of fighting for this company to be handed over to Kenji just like that. As the match began, Asher stared at the stage for a long time in a daze. He recalled all the tournaments over the years. He had practically won championships in every one of them. After every victory, Lyanna would jump on stage and hug him, then proudly face the cameras and declare to the world, if one day DG's starter isn't Asher, then I'll leave with him. If DG doesn't let Asher play, I'll pull all my investment. That clip had once gone viral online. Lyanna's vow to him had made everyone envious. The referee's voice snapped Asher out of his thoughts. He looked over at Lyanna not far away. She was watching Kenji's profile on stage with laser focus. Half that promise had already been broken, but Asher still held out hope for the other half. But even after Kenji lost 3 games in a row, Lyanna didn't make a single substitution. Confused, Asher looked at her, only to be brushed off with a feint. Kenji needs more experience. Asher instantly felt like he was being played. Without a word, he stood up to leave, but in the next second, Lyanna stepped in front of him, blocking his path, and the host's voice echoed across the venue. Today, aside from the match, DG would also like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for the previous forfeit incident. Please welcome DG's main team jungler, Asher, to the stage. Asher froze at that sentence. Staring hard into Lyanna's eyes, he asked her coldly, You want me on stage to apologize? Lyanna looked guilty for a moment. but still held her ground. It's the only way Kenji can fully clear his name. He's like my own little brother. I can't let anything happen to him. Asher didn't respond. His expression was blank, but his fists clenched tightly on their own. The crowd, already on edge from DG losing 3 games in a row, was now completely restless. One by one, voices rose from the audience, each more agitated than the last. Asher, the guy who rage quit after breaking down mid-match? He hasn't been banned by the company yet. God, Asher wasn't like this before. Now he'll do anything just for attention. Huh? Wasn't he always the starter? And now it's Kenji on stage? Guess the company's afraid he'll have another breakdown. Pathetic. Kenji's the one left to clean up his mess. The host, keeping an eye on the clock, called Asher's name again, trying to maintain the show's rhythm. Lyanna urged him again. Get up there and apologize. This live broadcast is the best chance for Kenji to clear his image. But in the next second, Asher picked up his bag and turned to leave. I didn't do it. I'll never admit to something I didn't do. Chapter 5. Asher, can you be reasonable for once? Do you know how much effort the company put in just to suppress the trending scandal? Don't forget everything you have today is because of me. If you don't agree, forget about playing in any future matches. Asher's steps halted. She was right. He owed Lyanna a lot. Without her, he might never have had a chance to chase his dream. And the matches to come? They were all he had left. He turned back around. After a long silence, he finally nodded. Fine. I'll go. Every step Asher took from the stage's edge to the center felt heavy. It was like the path he'd once walked from the slums to the professional arena, a road paved with countless sleepless nights of training. He took the microphone but kept his head down, unmoving for a long time. The crowd grew restless. Insults started flashing across the live broadcast screen. What's the act for? Don't tell me he's about to cry and beg for sympathy. He doesn't even look half as good as Kenji now. I'm starting to doubt the authenticity of that footage. God, Asher with his skills, how could he possibly break down in a casual match? Bro, are you Asher's all account or what? The evidence is right there. Just ban him already. Asher stood there, unmoving. His fingers dug into his palms so hard they nearly broke the skin. Voices from every direction surged into his ears like a flood. For a moment, he felt like he was back in that dark, hopeless slum, surviving off prize money from internet cafe matches just to scrape by. Then suddenly, Lyanna had appeared in his life. She had reached out to him with a bright smile. You really have talent. Do you want to come with me? What are you doing? Hurry up and apologize. Say something. Both the memory and the voice in his earpiece came crashing in at once. The noise from the crowd morphed into harsh static. His heart felt like it was being squeezed tight. Even breathing sent waves of pain through his chest. Asher finally forced the words out. I apologize to the fans and the audience. I also apologize to my teammates and the company. But Lyanna, you're the only one I don't owe an apology. He took a deep, shaky breath. I'm deeply sorry for the mid-match forfeit, for the negative attention and impact it brought to the team. I promise to reflect on my actions and take the game seriously from now on. His voice dropped to a barely audible whisper for the last part. Lyanna, what I owed you, I've repaid in full. The event ended quickly. As Asher stepped off the stage, only the coach was waiting for him. He said, Asher, Lyanna said since we lost tonight. She's throwing a party to cheer Kenji up and help fully clear his name. She wants you to come too. Asher tried to decline, but the coach insisted again and again. He couldn't get out of it. As the car drove past the crowd of fans, the coach sat beside him, chuckling and trying to make small talk. Lyanna, always so impulsive. She just left with Kenji right away, didn't even wait for us. Don't take it too hard, Asher. She's only thinking about what's best for the company. Asher forced a slight smile, but said nothing. By the time they arrived, the party was already well underway. As soon as he walked in, Lyanna pulled him out to the balcony. She seemed a little drunk, tilting her head up. She reached for a kiss, but Asher dodged her. Thankfully, she didn't mind. Baby, I know you're only upset and jealous because you love me. Once Worlds is over and Kenji's all settled in, we'll get married, okay? But Asher just stared at her quietly. After a long pause, he spoke without hesitation. Let's break up. Lyanna froze for a second, then suddenly laughed. Ever since I brought you back to the team base, you've been stuck to me like glue. What kind of joke is this now? Don't be jealous. I'll buy you a gift tomorrow to make it up to you, okay? But Asher didn't smile at all. He looked at her seriously and said firmly, I mean it. We're breaking up. Lyanna, Kenji's drunk and keeps asking for you. A teammate's voice came from outside. Lyanna raised her voice and replied, Coming. Then she wrapped her arms around Asher and gave his back a light pat. Don't be mad. I'll go check on Kenji first. I promise I'll make it up to you tomorrow. Oh, and there's this show I signed you up for. You and Kenji will go together in a few days. He'll look after you. With that, she hurried back to the private room. When Asher came back in after some air, the celebration was mostly over. Only Kenji was left, collapsed in Lyanna's arms, being gently comforted. The atmosphere between them was intimate, like a bubble that shut everyone else out. They were getting closer and closer, like they might kiss at any moment. But inside, Asher felt nothing, just numb. He picked up his bag as if he hadn't seen anything and walked away without a word. Chapter 6. On the day of the show recording, it wasn't until right before departure that Lyanna and Kenji finally emerged from the dorm together. When she saw Asher standing not far away, she paused mid-stretch, then quickly returned to her usual nonchalant self and walked over. Don't be nervous, she said. This is just a casual chat segment. Kenji will look after you. Kenji also smiled as he casually placed a hand on Lyanna's shoulder. Asher, relax. I've already had a word with the production team. Asher nodded, avoiding eye contact as he walked right past the two of them and headed downstairs alone. Something about Kenji's fake kindness felt off, but Asher didn't overthink it. He glanced at his phone. 10 days left until Worlds. All he had to do was survive these last few days. Then he could finally walk away for good. Taking a deep breath, he got into the car headed to the filming location. The organizers had everything set up quickly. Right before they went on stage, Kenji leaned in and whispered reassuringly, Don't worry, Asher, I've taken care of everything. But an uneasy feeling stirred in Asher's gut, and sure enough, his instincts were dead on. The show started off smoothly, until the host opened the floor to Asher. Asher, there's been a lot of discussion about your sudden forfeit mid-game. Many say it reflects poor professionalism. What's your take on that? Some fans are even questioning your competitive integrity. Some think you should be stripped of your pro status and leave the scene entirely. And even more shocking, we've heard rumors from inside your team. Allegations that you've bullied fellow teammates. Is any of that true? For a moment, Asher's ears buzzed. He thought he'd misheard. But the entire venue had fallen silent, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Countless eyes were locked onto him, waiting for an answer. Asher turned to look at Kenji. He was smiling back at Asher innocently. Pure, harmless, fake. In that moment, Asher understood exactly what was happening. Just as he was about to speak into the mic, Lyanna's voice came through his earpiece. What kind of questions are these? Asher, don't forget what I told you. Not a single word that could harm Kenji. Asher faltered for just a second, and Kenji seized the chance to speak first. Who prepared these questions? Asher didn't quit on purpose. Let's just focus on preparing for Worlds. And as for the bullying, come on, Asher isn't like that. He's just cold and quiet. He doesn't talk to people much. The second he finished, the crowd erupted. What he said had just confirmed the rumors about Asher's forfeit and alleged bullying, all under the guise of defending him. Asher let out a cold laugh. Kenji had once again redefined shamelessness. Asher could tolerate a lot for Lyanna's sake, but being accused of something he never did, that he wouldn't stay silent about. He picked up the microphone. His voice was quiet but icy cold. I didn't forfeit on purpose, and frankly, I still don't know how I got disconnected mid-game. And sure, I've got no connections or resources, but bullying? That's something I don't even know how to fake. Maybe someone from our own team can tell you where that story came from. It sounded like Asher was just answering the host, but everyone could hear the sharp edge in his words. Most of the audience was here for drama, but there were also plenty of Kenji fans in the mix. A storm of insults and accusations erupted across the venue. What's that supposed to mean? Is he throwing shade at Kenji? He's the one who's been isolating the new guy just because he joined the team earlier. Exactly. Last time he used Kenji's account in a public match just to set him up. He deserves to be blacklisted and kicked out of the scene for good. Right? He can't handle losing and even bullies others. We should all protest to the company. Get him kicked off the team. But Asher acted as if he hadn't heard a thing. With a smirk that wasn't quite a smile, He shifted his gaze toward Kenji's face. "Oh, by the way, little Kenji," he said, voice light but sharp. "Do you know who started those rumors?" The audience collectively held their breath. Every eye turned with Asher to Kenji. In Asher's earpiece, Lyanna's anxious warning came through loud and fast. Asher raised his hand calmly and switched the earpiece off. Her voice was cut off instantly. On the other side of the stage, Kenji picked up the mic. He curled his lips slightly, a cool gleam in his eyes, like a predator watching its prey walk straight into the trap. A sick feeling hit Asher's gut. He knew something was off, and he was right. "Asher, come on now," Kenji said smoothly. "I never said anything. It's just, rumors have been going around the team. You've been busy, so you probably didn't notice. Funny enough, someone sent me a video just yesterday. I haven't even watched it yet. Want to check it out together?" The next second, the giant screen lit up. Chapter 7. A figure appeared on screen. The back view looked exactly like Asher's. In the video, Asher coldly ignored teammates, outright dismissed the trainees, even tripped Kenji on purpose, bossed around the team, and slacked off in training and scrims. And the face in the video was undeniably Asher's. The footage ran for 5 full minutes. When the screen suddenly went black at the end, it was like the entire crowd collectively woke up. Outrage started erupting from the audience. Demands for Asher's blacklisting grew louder and louder, so much that security had to work hard just to maintain order. Kenji put on a pitiful expression, his voice broadcast through the sound system, echoing across the entire arena. "Asher, I didn't mean for this to happen. I had no idea the video would be like that. But I'm really shocked. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. In private, you were right earlier. My family does have some money, but I've never used my background for anything. Still, if you treated me like this, I can't even imagine how you treated the others, guys from ordinary families." Asher stood there in stunned disbelief. None of the things in that video ever happened. That video had to be AI generated. But at this point, no one would believe him. Still, he instinctively defended himself. "I didn't do any of that. That person in the video isn't me." But the next second, a few teammates who shouldn't have been anywhere near the stage stepped up, one after another. Our support spoke first. "Marcus, this has gone too far. We're standing here today to speak the truth." ADC Leo immediately chimed in. "Exactly, Captain. If it weren't for Kenji, we'd probably still be stuck getting bullied by you." Mid laner Nathan kept his head down, refusing to look at Asher, but he still nodded silently. Asher stared at the brothers he had fought beside for so long, unable to comprehend what Kenji had offered them in exchange for this betrayal. What kind of deal could make them lie so shamelessly? The venue erupted into chaos. The organizers had to cut the live stream on the spot and started rushing to shut the event down. Asher locked eyes on Kenji and finally couldn't take it anymore. He stormed forward and grabbed him by the collar. "What the hell do you want from me? I already gave up the starting spot for you. I gave up Lyanna too. Can't you just let me leave in peace?" But Kenji didn't flinch. He even raised an eyebrow and smiled. His gaze shifted past Asher, looking towards something behind him. In the dark, he silently mouthed the phrase, "You owe me." Before Asher could even register what that meant, a sudden gust of wind blew from behind. He turned his head and saw a middle-aged man charging straight at them. A flash of cold steel reflected in the light, the blade aiming directly at their entangled arms. Asher instinctively dodged, but Kenji grabbed Asher's arm and shoved him forward. The blade slashed down. Pain exploded in Asher's arm. Clutching the bleeding wound, he kicked the man away. Only then did the security team finally swarm in to subdue him. Lyanna appeared at that moment. Her hair was a mess, completely unlike the calm, elegant executive she always was. Her pupils shrank in horror when she saw the cut on Kenji's arm. She rushed forward, frantic, cradling his arm with trembling hands. She examined the wound, a shallow cut, barely bleeding, but she screamed for her assistant, for a doctor, panicking like he was dying. Not once did she even glance at Asher, his entire arm soaked in blood. Before she left with Kenji, surrounded by the organizers, the manager, and assistants, she finally turned back, eyes red and her voice shaking with fury. "If Kenji ends up even slightly hurt, Asher, you can go straight back to the slums where you came from." They left, and Asher couldn't even see her back anymore. He let out a bitter smile, his lips pale as ash, his hand clenched over the cloth pressed to his wound. He'd had hypoglycemia since he was a kid. As dizziness flooded in, he suddenly remembered the Lyanna from before, the one who used to panic if he got so much as a scratch. She would rush to bandage him with furrowed brows, gently touching each wrapped wound. Even when she began ignoring him more and more for Kenji, she never once looked at him like he was her enemy. Asher's lips trembled. He whispered a few words only he could hear. 10 more days. Then everything went black. Chapter 8. Asher was woken up by someone calling his name. The sharp smell of disinfectant filled his nose. As he struggled to open his eyes, the first thing he saw was Lyanna standing at his bedside, her expression cold and angry. Asher, I can't believe this. Just because Kenji got chosen as starter, you went and incited a fan to attack him. Still groggy from just waking up, Asher's mind was in a haze. He opened his mouth and responded instinctively, "What?" Lyanna's face darkened further. "Still pretending? Bring him in." At her words, the hospital room door opened. Several bodyguards entered, dragging in the man who had attacked on stage. "Repeat what you just said," Lyanna ordered. The man, head bowed, repeated the scripted lines like a machine. "I'm a fan of Asher. He told me that Kenji stole his starting spot, so I needed to teach him a lesson. The knife and the attack, they were all Asher's idea. As soon as he gave the signal, I rushed in with the blade." As soon as he finished, he was escorted back out. Lyanna still looked furious. After a long silence, she frowned deeply. "This time you've really gone too far. If you had a problem, you could have talked to me. Why would you hurt Kenji? You know how important his hands are, don't you?" Asher suddenly laughed. There were so many holes in that guy's story. He didn't believe for a second that Lyanna hadn't noticed. She simply didn't want to notice. She only ever chose to believe what suited her. If I really planned the attack, why didn't anything happen the last time he took the starting role? And why did I end up injured too, even more seriously than him? Lyanna frowned, blurting out her reply without hesitation. "You clearly set it up this time. Figured it was the perfect moment, and you got hurt too, just to throw off suspicion. But you didn't expect your guy to betray you. I'm telling you now, no more excuses. What's done is done. If you want to stay in this industry, follow the company's arrangement. Kenji will be going to Worlds once you're discharged. You're benched." It felt like lightning striking in Asher's ears. Even when he stood on that stage and had everyone turn against him, he never once thought about giving up on Worlds. He froze, unable to believe what he was hearing. "I trained for years for this tournament. If I win the championship, I'll be the first player in esports history to achieve a full personal Grand Slam. You know that." But Lyanna still had her brows furrowed, unmoved. That's when Asher understood completely. He closed his eyes, giving up entirely. Lyanna finally smiled, the kind of smile that stung with irony. "Just step aside and follow the company's lead. This is what Kenji wants too. I already promised him. I can't let him down. And besides, your arm injury looks serious. Don't bother dreaming about the championship now. Focus on recovery after surgery in a few days. Make sure you go back and serve your suspension. This is Kenji's first time at Worlds. I have to stay with him the whole time. We're flying to Paris first. If you still want to go, we can save you a support staff badge. You can come carry his bags." She turned and left, tossing a staff pass onto the bed behind her. Asher stared at the ceiling, too stunned to react. Worlds had always been his ultimate goal. Every training session these past few years was for this. And now, just like that, gone. Asher lay there in despair for 2 full days. Right before surgery, he finally picked up his phone and made a call. "David, Worlds is starting soon, right? In 2 days? Can you send someone to pick me up?" 2 days after the surgery, right after the bandages came off, Asher stood up and checked himself out. The nurse tried to stop him. "Mr. Stone, your injuries are way worse than Mr. Ito's next door. He only had a small cut, but Ms. Hayes has been hovering over him for days. You really shouldn't." Asher gently refused. "It's fine." He rushed back to the base. Only the second team's coach was still around. He never liked Asher, always close with Kenji. Well, if it isn't DG's so-called God hand. "What's wrong? They didn't take you to Worlds this time?" Asher walked past him without saying a word, packed his things quickly, and headed out. "Where do you think you're going? Boss Lyanna said you're supposed to be on lockdown." His yelling faded behind Asher. Outside at the DG base, the car was already waiting at the gate and drove Asher straight to the airport. KR's boss was already there waiting. You're finally here, Asher. Let's go. Everything's ready for you. Asher nodded, then as if remembering something, said, Wait a second. He pulled out his phone, opened the chat with Lyanna. The conversation had been quiet for a long time. He sent a picture of the contract date, then shut off his phone. He exhaled. Without looking back, he dragged his suitcase toward the gate. Let's go. Chapter 9. When Lyanna arrived at the hotel arranged by the tournament organizers with the DG team, there were still 3 days left before Worlds officially began. As she was unpacking, she suddenly remembered to remind Kenji, Make sure you rest well and stay focused on training over the next few days. There was no response for a moment. She looked up. Kenji was absorbed in typing on his phone. Lyanna raised her voice, Kenji. Only then did Kenji look up. He leaned in with a bright smile and asked, Lyanna, what did you just say? Lyanna stood up straight, her expression unusually serious. This is your first time starting, and it's on the world stage. You need to give it your all. This match isn't just about you. It represents all of DG. Kenji's eyes shifted slightly as he remembered a message from the second team's coach just moments ago. Asher left the base with his luggage. You think this'll be a problem? He looked up again, leaned closer to Lyanna, and shook her hand playfully. I know, Lyanna. I promise I won't let you down. But about Asher? Just hearing Asher's name gave Lyanna a slight sense of unease. But she forced herself to stay firm and made her decision sound light and final. You just focus on the tournament. He'll be attending in a support staff capacity. Kenji's grin widened, and even his voice grew more cheerful. Then thank you, Lyanna, for helping tidy up my room. Oh, make sure not to call housekeeping. I don't like strangers touching my stuff. I'll go train with the others now. He strolled out the door, still holding his phone. Asher's injury wasn't minor. Even if he did show up, he wouldn't be in any condition to play. Besides, Lyanna's stance had been crystal clear. Kenji typed out a line without hesitation and hit send. Relax. Even if he shows up, he's just backroom staff. Lyanna already warned him. Humming a tune, he left, unable to hide the smile tugging at his lips. Back in the room, Lyanna felt dazed. For a moment, Kenji's words, they sounded too familiar. She suddenly remembered all the times Asher had traveled with her for tournaments. No matter how rushed the schedule, how exhausted he was, he would always change the hotel sheets and duvet covers for her the moment they arrived, just because she once casually mentioned she had a bit of OCD. It's okay, I'm not tired. You don't like hotel bedding, and you don't want anyone else touching your stuff. I've got it. I'll still have time to train afterward. He'd always say that, smiling gently as he helped make the bed without complaint. Lyanna looked at what she was holding in her hands, snapping out of the memory. Her expression suddenly turning complicated. Why was she thinking about him now? Frustrated, as if annoyed with herself, she scowled and silently began making Kenji's bed. By evening, Kenji still hadn't returned to his room. Lyanna finally let out a breath and got up to check the practice room. It's getting late. Don't push too hard during training. But the room was empty. She froze, then turned to search the hotel. Eventually, she found Kenji downstairs in the bar, surrounded by teammates. When he saw her, Kenji eagerly rushed over. Lyanna, you finished making the bed? Come relax with us. Lyanna frowned. I brought you here early to help you adjust to the time zone and prepare, not for partying. Kenji didn't seem to notice her mood shift. He kept smiling and tugged at her arm. Come on, Lyanna. We were all exhausted from traveling. Let us chill for just a bit. There are still a few days left. I promise I'll start grinding hard tomorrow. Only then did Lyanna's expression ease, and she gave a reluctant nod. Then you all have fun. I'll just... Before Lyanna could finish her sentence, a special notification tone from WeChat chimed. A message from someone she had marked as important. She hadn't had the chance to check who it was before Kenji pulled her into the booth. Don't leave, Lyanna. Stay and have a drink with us. Lyanna waved him off and sank into the sofa, watching them play drinking games and rock, paper, scissors. Under the dim lights, her thoughts drifted again, this time to the familiar glow of computer monitors in the training room. The night before tournaments, no matter what the event, Asher always gave it his all. Except for the first night, when he'd make the bed for her and let her rest, he spent nearly every other moment in the training room, preparing tirelessly until the tournament began. The deafening music snapped her back to reality, realizing she had once again thought of Asher without meaning to. A wave of inexplicable unease rose in Lyanna's chest. She didn't want to stay any longer. She got up, intending to settle the bill and leave early. But when she instinctively reached into her pocket, her phone wasn't there. Her gaze scanned the room and finally locked on Kenji's side. Her phone was right by his leg. Without thinking too much, she walked over, picked up the phone, and leaned down to whisper into Kenji's ear, "I'm going to pay the bill. Don't stay out too late, all right?" Kenji looked a bit tipsy, his eyes unfocused, his voice drifting lazily. He draped an arm over her shoulder. "Lyanna, I already paid using your phone. Don't worry about us. You go get some rest." Lyanna froze for a split second, then nodded with a neutral expression and turned to leave. She was almost at the hotel entrance when she suddenly remembered the WeChat notification from earlier, the one that had chimed when she entered the bar. That sound had only ever been set for one person, Asher. She had never changed it, not even after everything. Opening their chat, she found the screen completely blank. But she had heard it. She was certain. A special notification had gone off. There had been a message. Chapter 10. Lyanna was just about to turn around and ask Kenji when the team lineup for the next few days was released. DG's first Worlds match would be the following morning, still a few days away. Now that the opponent was confirmed, training and review sessions needed to begin. She didn't bother looking into the disappearing message from Asher. Instead, she arranged a late-night meeting with the coach to go over the opponent's playstyle and strategy. She and the coach stayed up working out the game plan, but it wasn't until the next afternoon that Kenji finally showed up at the training room. Before Lyanna could scold him, Kenji was already smiling and pulling out a delicate necklace. "Lyanna, I went out to pick a gift for you. Do you like it?" As he spoke, he took out the necklace and gently helped her put it on. The coach, quick to sense the mood, tried to smooth things over. "Oh, it's all right, Lyanna. Kenji has such raw talent. I'm sure the first match will be a breeze." Hearing that, Kenji raised his chin higher. "Yeah, Lyanna, don't worry. I'm here now, ready to train. I'll make sure to bring home a win." Lyanna already felt reassured by the coach's words, and the playful way Kenji gave the gift made her chuckle. "It's okay. I'll let you start because I trust you. Just stay relaxed and focused." Kenji smiled sweetly in response, but over the next 2 days, he still didn't step into the training room once. Lyanna remembered the promise he had made, but told herself not to push him too hard. The first match came quickly. DG's starting lineup was the same as usual, except for Asher's absence. As one of the top esports clubs, and with Kenji's growing popularity, viewership hit an all-time high for this streamed match. The bullet comments were flooded with Kenji's name. The match began. All eyes on DG. As the game progressed, DG was at a constant disadvantage. Lyanna clenched her fists under the table. It had been a long time since she felt this nervous during a game, because when Asher was playing, no matter who the opponent was, victory had never been in doubt. The fans' hype gradually faded on the live stream, replaced by viewers genuinely analyzing the match. What's going on? Isn't DG supposed to be really strong? Why are they being pushed back so hard? It's got to be the jungler. He's not controlling the pace. What is he doing? Honestly, I don't understand his decisions. Asher's matches were so much smoother to watch. By 35 minutes in, DG's towers were all down. Their nexus was one push away from collapse. At 41 minutes, the final whistle blew. DG lost their first match. The chat exploded with criticism, but Lyanna didn't have the energy to care. The door to the restroom burst open. Kenji walked in and angrily slammed his headset to the floor. Then crash. Cups, tissue boxes, and the speaker were swept off the table in a fit of rage. Kenji was panting, his face dark with frustration. Lyanna sat calmly on the sofa, expression unreadable. The rest of the team didn't dare say anything to Kenji, nor did they try to guess what their boss was thinking. Exchanged a few uneasy glances, and began taking the blame one by one. It was my fault. I didn't support the ADC in time. I messed up too. I was too aggressive when I should have played safe. I didn't farm properly in the early game, which... Enough. Lyanna stood up and cut them off. She had seen it clearly. The other 4 performed as expected. Only Kenji had panicked and lost control, disrupting the rhythm. No matter the result, you all worked hard. Go rest for now. There's still time before the second match. Kenji stays. With that, the others left with the coach to review the game, leaving only Lyanna and Kenji in the room. Though she usually spoiled Kenji, she never took matches lightly. Her voice was cold and sharp. You know the problem was you, right? She looked at him. Kenji was slouched on the sofa, silent. She pressed on, lips tightening. You also know how important this match was. Since that's the case, we'll have to get someone to help you. Kenji finally looked up, but still said nothing. Lyanna's next words were icy. And, Asher will help you review the game and teach you how to play. Chapter 11. Kenji froze for a moment, then exploded. No way. I don't agree. Why should he teach me? Who gave him the right? Lyanna's brows furrowed, and for the first time, she called him by his full name. Kenji Ito, do you even understand what losing the first match means? DG's reputation, investments, and future, they could all collapse because of you. I let Asher go because I believed in your dream. And what have you done? No review, no training? Is this what a match means to you? Is this what being a pro means to you? Maybe it was the severity in her tone, but Kenji finally softened his voice. No, Lyanna, that's not what I meant. What if Asher refuses? I did take his starter spot after all. Seeing his attitude shift, Lyanna eased up as well. You don't need to worry about that. I'll talk to him. With that, she picked up her phone and dialed. All she got in return was a mechanical voice. The number you have dialed is not in service. Lyanna's brows knitted again. Her fingers unconsciously tightened around the phone. She sat in silence for a long moment before opening their chat window and sending a message, only to be met with a large red exclamation mark. Then she suddenly remembered that special notification sound from the night at the bar. She looked up, her gaze locking onto Kenji's eyes. That night at the bar, did you mess with my chat history? Kenji's eyes widened instantly, full of innocent panic. Why would I do that, Lyanna? Are you actually suspecting me? Lyanna hesitated, then she waved her hand dismissively. No, maybe I imagined it. Go find the coach and start reviewing. I'll handle Asher. The sound of the door closing echoed behind him. Only then did Lyanna collapse back onto the sofa, exhausted. DG's first match had been a disaster. Online outrage and ridicule were pouring in, and she hadn't even had time to address it. Now Worlds had been going for 2 full days, and Asher had disappeared. All she asked was for him to help with logistics, and he couldn't even cooperate, still throwing a tantrum. Lyanna sighed, but then suddenly remembered his injured arm, and her anxiety spiked. What if it hadn't healed yet? She quickly called the hospital, only to be told that Asher had already been discharged and left. Then where could he have gone? She thought for a while, then dialed the second team's coach. You've been staying at the base, right? Is Asher there? The person on the other end paused, then quickly spilled everything. Boss Lyanna, Kenji didn't tell you? Asher came back that day with his suitcase, then immediately left again. We couldn't stop him. Didn't even go into suspension. A terrible sense of dread washed over Lyanna. Her grip on the phone was so tight her knuckles turned white. When exactly? 2 days after you all left. I think it was the night you checked into the hotel. Lyanna abruptly ended the call with a click, her hand dropping to her side. It matched what the hospital said. So Asher had left just a couple days after surgery with a suitcase. Where could he have gone? Vacation? She suddenly remembered he had once mentioned wanting to travel. It was during their 3rd anniversary. It had been the peak of both his career and the company's growth. He was busy with tournaments. She was buried in operations. They didn't even meet until the day after their anniversary. That day, Asher handed her the championship trophy he had just won and pulled her down onto the bed with it. I already have you, the trophy, and my dream. The only thing I haven't done is see the world. After I retire, let's go on a round-the-world honeymoon, okay? Suddenly, a knock at the door broke her thoughts. A wave of frustration surged through Lyanna. She glanced down at her phone and suddenly felt a flash of resentment toward Asher's profile picture. They had agreed to walk this path together until the end, yet now, at the most critical moment, he had abandoned her to go on vacation. Anger clouded her mind. In a burst of emotion, Lyanna deleted their entire chat history. Only after doing it did she get up and open the door. Standing outside was the coach, wearing an apologetic smile. Lyanna, any chance Asher could come? All these years, he's been the one handling everything, from pre-game prep to post-game review. He always led the analysis, and to be honest, after today's match, he probably understands the problems better than I do. Having him back to help Kenji review would be the best move right now. Lyanna was already stressed over the situation. Hearing that, she simply waved her hand. Go ahead and start reviewing with the team. I'll try to contact him. But despite what she said, by the time DG's second match started, she still hadn't been able to reach Asher. He had blocked her on every platform, disappeared from her life like he never existed. She had even contacted the wedding planner. The answer she got was, Mr. Stone canceled the reservation a long time ago. Lyanna's anxiety grew stronger by the hour, but with another match about to begin, she had no choice but to shove that creeping panic deep down. Over the following days, DG had game after game lined up. The players, as if injected with adrenaline, trained obsessively and reviewed every scrim with relentless energy. But it was no use. 3 consecutive matches, all devastating losses. Chapter 12. For 3 days straight, Lyanna wore a cold expression, watching the team review match footage again and again. After the third loss, she finally snapped. She pulled the coach aside into the training room. Whose fault is it? Don't hold back, just say it. The coach hesitated for a moment, but eventually spoke. It's Kenji. He can't control the tempo, and his shot calling is all over the place. I tried switching the in-game leader, but his cooperation level is way too low. It didn't work. This is a team game, but he doesn't seem to understand the concept. And his mechanics and game sense are also. Lyanna waved a hand, signaling him to stop. Her face grew darker by the second. When she spoke again, her voice was ice cold. Call him in. Moments later, Kenji stood alone in the training room. Lyanna got straight to the point. Do you know what your problem is? This is a team game. Stop trying to play lone wolf. I won't say more, but if we don't win the next match, I'll bench you. Kenji instantly looked up, his eyes red with anger. Bench me? Why should I be taken off the lineup? Weren't you the one who said you believed in my dream? You already decided to replace Asher with me. Why bring someone else in now? At the mention of Asher, Lyanna's frustration only deepened. Her voice turned even colder. I do support your dream, and yes, I've gone out of my way to help you because of who you are. But don't forget, the one who put you here can take you down just as easily. If you can't take matches seriously, then DG doesn't need you. With that, she didn't spare him another glance and walked to the doorway, addressing the players waiting outside. Everyone, I know losing several games in a row has been exhausting, but I hope you'll keep your spirits up for the remaining matches. If we win, your bonuses will be tripled. Whether it was because they had overheard Kenji being reprimanded or because they were simply fed up, the players didn't look the least bit excited. Instead, complaints erupted. Doesn't matter how much you triple it. With a teammate who refuses to cooperate, it's pointless. Exactly, Lyanna. You reviewed the matches too. You know who the problem is. It'd honestly be better if Asher came back. Though that last line was muttered, everyone heard it loud and clear. Kenji gritted his teeth and glared at them, but Lyanna stopped him with just a look. That's enough. I only want one thing from you. Do your best. I know Worlds means a lot to each and every one of you. Maybe it was her firm tone, or maybe her words really struck a chord. Either way, Kenji finally quieted down, and the team began working together more smoothly in the matches that followed. DG didn't lose again until the final day of competition arrived. Still no news from him? What's the point of keeping you people around? A grown man vanishes, and not a single one of you can find him. Lyanna slammed the phone down in frustration. There were 2 matches scheduled today, and the last one was against DG's biggest rival. Back when Asher was still on the team, KR had always ended up in second place, never able to beat them. But this year, Lyanna shut off her phone in irritation. She still had no clue where Asher was. Even though DG had been winning recently, she still didn't fully trust Kenji's abilities. The clock ticked on. The pre-game whistle sounded. Just before going on stage, Lyanna pulled Kenji aside. You must win this morning's match. If you don't, I'll have no choice but to let Asher play this afternoon. Kenji's eyes flickered. As if recent wins had restored his confidence, he nodded without hesitation. I will. I'm not giving him any chance to go on stage. A flicker of complexity passed over Lyanna's face, but she said nothing and let him head up. The outcome was far from satisfactory. When Kenji walked back into the lounge, Lyanna was already there, her expression cold and furious. What the hell were you doing out there? Zoning out in the middle of a match, Kenji? Do you actually want me to bring Asher back? The moment she said that, Kenji understood she hadn't found Asher. If she had, she wouldn't be standing here saying all this. Asher would have already been on stage. Kenji smirked. Lyanna, still no luck finding Asher? Ah, guess I'm your only option. Don't worry, I'll give it everything I've got for the final match. Lyanna clenched her teeth in anger, then let out a cold laugh. Trying to threaten me now? Huh, you're not stepping on that stage this afternoon, unless it's the last possible second. I will find him. With that, she turned and stormed off. She immediately called her father's secretary. It was the first time she had ever reached out to her family since refusing to inherit the company. Time ticked by. The final match was scheduled for 3 p.m. At 2:40, both teams entered the arena. At 2:50, pre-match preparations began. At 2:55, the host started introducing the players, and her phone rang. Lyanna answered almost instantly, her heart pounding in her chest. Miss, we've located Mr. Stone. He's in Paris at the World's venue. His current ID is real life. The host's voice and the person on the other end of the phone overlapped perfectly. Lyanna looked up in a daze. Standing at the center of KR's starting lineup was that all-too-familiar face, Asher. Chapter 13. When Asher arrived in Paris, he headed straight to KR's headquarters. David carried his luggage as he enthusiastically showed Asher around. Asher felt a little awkward. Even though they had known each other for a while, David was still the owner of KR. David, I can carry it myself. You've already done so much letting me join the team. I shouldn't trouble you like this. David chuckled and pointed in a direction. If you want to thank someone, thank Anna. It was all her idea. Asher followed his finger and saw a girl about his age jogging over. KR is Chairman Sue's pride and joy. I'm just a proxy secretary. The one who truly wanted to bring you into the team is his daughter, David said just as he finished speaking. Anna reached Asher. Hi, Asher. I'm Anna. I've been your fan ever since your debut. I never imagined we'd actually meet like this. Tired? Let's get you to your room first. Oh, and with your skill level, you'll be joining the main roster right away. Anna kept talking nonstop the whole way, but Asher didn't find it annoying. In fact, by the time they arrived at the dorms, he was startled to realize he had unconsciously started smiling. KR's facilities were leagues ahead of DG's. His room alone was at least twice as big. Oh, and Miss Sue, there's no need to call me Asher. Just call me George. Anna blinked, surprised, then spoke with exaggerated heartbreak. Asher, where's that confidence you had on stage? Asher smiled faintly, his tone just as calm. That's all in the past. I'm not Asher anymore, don't you know? I'm the disgraced pro who rage quit mid-match. Anna didn't even hesitate. That's impossible. I watched that game. It wasn't your style at all. The rhythm was off. Coordination wasn't there. Anyone who's seen even 2 of your matches would know something was wrong. Asher was a bit surprised. He thought she was just being polite earlier when she said she was a fan. He smiled and shook his head, lifting his suitcase to put it away. Didn't expect you to know me that well, but I don't deserve the title of Godhand anymore. I didn't even qualify for Worlds. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through his arm, and he nearly dropped the suitcase. Thankfully, a hand reached out just in time to catch it. Asher turned to see Anna, her expression serious, a stark contrast to the cheerful girl from moments ago. You do qualify. You're going to play in Worlds, and you will. Asher, go reclaim the name Godhand. Even after Anna left the room, her words still echoed in Asher's ears. He lay down, raising his arm still wrapped in gauze. With a soft sigh, he let out a quiet laugh. Even he wasn't sure he could pull it off. So why was Anna so confident, so persistent? That afternoon Asher got his answer. Asher, come down quick. Hearing his name, he hurried downstairs and was stunned at what he saw. An entire set of brand new esports gear had been set up, far better than anything DG's base ever had. Asher, there's another set over here. It's the same model you used during your official matches. Which one do you want? Only then did Asher notice the second set, identical to the one Lyanna once gifted him. He paused for a moment, then pointed at the setup in front of him. It was time to cut ties with the past. This one. Thank you, Miss Sue. I'll send you the money for it. Anna waved it off quickly. Bring home the World's trophy. That'll be the best payment. The moment she said Worlds, a dull pain pulsed through Asher's arm again. The excitement he had just felt was instantly washed away. He forced a smile and lifted his arm slightly. Miss Sue, I'm afraid I'll disappoint you. But Anna stepped forward, gently cupping his arm with both hands. Her voice was firm and sincere. You won't, Asher. I believe in you. His heart skipped a beat. After carrying this weight and shame for so long, after being thrown aside by his teammates, even by Lyanna, who had been by his side for 5 years, there was still someone who believed in him without hesitation. Anna continued examining his arm. After a moment, she looked up and smiled softly. I believe in you. Now you need to believe in me. Asher, isn't this your dream? Chapter 14. Anna moved quickly. Within just a few hours, the private doctor had arrived at the base. She smiled as she explained to Asher. This is my senior from med school, currently the most respected orthopedic expert in Paris. Then, she turned and began explaining the basic situation in French. I've already checked him. His arm has a minor bone injury. Although he's already had surgery and is in recovery, further treatment is still needed from you. Her senior examined the injury with his equipment for quite a while before smiling. No problem, Anna. Leave it to me. Just do me a favor and let him know the first session tonight will be extremely painful. Anna translated it truthfully. 2 hours later, the necessary equipment was delivered and the treatment began. She stayed by Asher's side the whole time, helping distract him. Actually, I originally studied medicine, but after my mother passed away, I went into a sort of trauma response. I couldn't bring myself to pick up a scalpel again. That period was really dark. I went back to my home country and stayed with my grandmother. It was a rundown alley, chaotic and messy, full of internet cafes. To numb myself, I spent my days in one of them, sitting for hours, just watching all kinds of people come and go. I looked into it. You used to live in that area too, right? I wonder if you ever saw a boy there. Every time the cafe held a mini tournament, he'd win, but he always looked like he was going through hell. Anna seemed to remember something, her tone turning a little excited and curious as she smiled. I'd never seen a champion who was so tough, yet so miserable. Later, when my dad opened a club, I tried to go back and find him. After all, getting through that time was all because of him. But maybe it wasn't meant to be. I never saw him again. Asher froze for a moment, still silent when the evening training alarm went off. Anna reached over to turn it off, only to catch a glimpse of the wallpaper. It was a very familiar internet cafe storefront. She turned to look at Asher in surprise. He gave a bitter smile. Yeah, that boy was me. That cafe was where I played my last local tournament. It was also where Lyanna came to take me away. Thinking of Lyanna, Asher couldn't help zoning out. Would things have ended better if I had met Anna first? A sharp pain in his arm snapped Asher back to reality. Maybe his expression gave away his sense of loss, because Anna quickly changed the topic. How's it looking? Nothing serious, right? Her senior packed away the equipment and nodded. The World Championship is still a few days away. You'll be good to go. Just make sure to apply the ointment and massage the arm daily. Wear the elastic wrist brace if necessary. Anna saw him off, then came back and naturally began helping Asher with the massage. Neither of them said anything. After a long silence, she sighed softly. If only I had met you earlier. After leaving the internet cafe, did you go straight to DG? What happened there? If David hadn't mentioned you by chance, would I have missed you all over again? Asher lowered his eyes and shook his head without speaking. Seeing that he wasn't ready to talk, Anna didn't press. Then rest for now? We'll talk about the championship lineup tomorrow. No pressure, but... As soon as she left the room, Anna was on the phone with her assistant. David, you know Asher well. What really happened to him at DG? I want every detail. The next day, a new email arrived in her inbox. She sat at her desk and opened it, her expression growing darker by the minute. Then came a knock at the door. She quickly shut the laptop and greeted Asher with a smile. Come on, time to meet the coach and the rest of the team. Following behind her, Asher couldn't help feeling nervous. Everyone knew about his black marks. Even teammates who knew the truth had trouble accepting it, let alone those who didn't. And he had parachuted into the team, taking over someone's starting spot. His mind drifted as they arrived at the training hall. Asher. It's really Asher. I'm your biggest fan, Asher. Asher, can I get a picture? Live and in person, Asher. Will you carry me in a match sometime? Instead of cold ridicule, the main KR team members were all genuinely excited. Just then, a young man stepped forward and held out his hand to Asher. Liam, the team's jungler and shot caller. I've always wanted to know what kind of person kept KR in second place. Now I finally get to meet you. Chapter 15. Asher instinctively reached out to shake his hand, though his mind hadn't caught up yet. The KR team was so friendly that all the mental defenses he had prepared crumbled instantly. Anna cleared her throat twice, helping Asher out of the awkward moment. Fan meeting can wait. Play a match first. Let Asher get a feel for things. Then try one with him in the team. Maybe because Anna wasn't exactly the club's owner, everyone was pretty relaxed and familiar around her. The players joked and messed around as they sat at their stations and started the first game. After a few rounds, Asher already had a good grasp of their dynamics. Then he joined in for the final round, mainly to test their coordination. What he didn't expect was that they clicked surprisingly well, not a single mistake. Every player showed excellent synergy and skill. As the victory sound rang out, Anna was the first to rush up and hug Asher. Amazing. I knew you could do it. But Asher didn't look particularly happy. He hesitated for a moment. So what about the original starting player? Before Anna could respond, the young man who'd introduced himself earlier, Liam, spoke up. Asher, what matters is KR winning the championship, and with your skill, I'm convinced. No hard feelings. Asher relaxed a little, only for a dull pain to suddenly shoot through his arm, nerves around the injury twitching again. Anna noticed something was off in Asher's expression and immediately supported his arm. She frowned, and for the first time looked truly serious. Can you handle it? Are you really going to play? Asher nodded slowly, just once, but with full determination. Yes. Anna stared at him for a moment, then suddenly smiled. All right, just like I said, I believe in you. 3 days until the World Championship. Asher began training at the base around the clock. No one tried to stop him or talk him out of it. Anna delivered his meals on time and massaged his arm like clockwork. The coach and players stayed by his side, only resting when they absolutely had to. Every other moment was spent building team synergy with Asher. Not a single complaint echoed through the base. Everyone knew if they won the championship, Asher would become the first esports player to achieve a Grand Slam. 2 days before the championship, Anna Sr. came back for another checkup and treatment. He advised that Asher get some rest, but Anna turned him down. I know what he wants more than rest. I'll keep a close eye on his arm myself. 1 day before the championship, Anna stayed with Asher, training late into the night. She handed him a cup of warm water, resting her chin on her hand as she smiled at him. Tomorrow's the big day. Nervous? Asher unwrapped the elastic brace, took the water, and sipped it. Then he lifted his chin and smiled back. Nervous? Not at all. The stage is my comfort zone. Anna let out a laugh, even brighter now. That's the Asher I know. So, Asher, time to change your ID. Asher thought for a moment, then looked straight into her eyes. Real life. A new life? Anna's eyes suddenly welled up. He had suffered so much. She thought of his wallpaper. She had assumed that leaving the internet cafe meant a new beginning, but DG turned out to be just another hell. Real life. Did it mean that KR was the true fresh start? Anna opened her mouth, voice slightly hoarse. All right. She stared at Asher quietly. He smiled softly, his face lit beautifully by the glow of the monitor. She didn't want to break the rare peace they had found, but she couldn't hold it in. Asher, I like you. Asher froze. The bluntness of the confession caught him off guard, but he quickly collected himself. After these days together, it wasn't like he hadn't felt it. But Anna was the one who gave him a new life. And besides, their positions were so different. It all felt so familiar. He didn't dare say yes. Pressing his lips together, he spoke softly. Can we talk after the tournament? Anna smiled even more. It's okay. You don't have to say yes after the championship. I'll chase you. Sleep early. See you tomorrow. With that, she turned and walked back to her dorm. Asher sat there for a long while before finally standing up and leaving. The next day, the World Championship officially began. After days of intense training, Asher's coordination with the main KR team had become seamless. They won almost every match in the early rounds, until the final match approached. Anna knocked on Asher's door with the matchup schedule in her hand. Tomorrow's final match, we're going up against DG. Asher froze, then smiled. Do you trust me? Anna nodded without hesitation. I do. Final match countdown, 5 minutes. The announcer began introducing the players from both teams. Starting jungler for KR. Real life. Asher stood up, right as his eyes locked with Lyanna's in the audience. Chapter 16. When she saw that face clearly, Lyanna was stunned for a good few dozen seconds. It wasn't until the host finished introducing the rest of the KR lineup that she snapped back to reality. She instinctively wanted to rush up to demand an explanation, but was blocked and held back by the staff. The match had officially begun. It was too late for everything now. Kenji sat in the shot caller's seat, slightly turning his head to peer through a gap in the monitors at Asher sitting directly across from him. His eyes inevitably landed on the compression wrist brace. He narrowed his eyes and curled his lips slightly. Looks like Asher's injury hasn't fully healed, and with brand new teammates, they've only had a few days to practice together. If I could beat Asher this time, not only would we win the championship, we'd crush the living legend of the esports world. Lyanna and all of DG would be under my feet. Thinking this, Kenji's expression darkened as he sat up straight. Asher didn't pay much attention to Kenji's expression. He just glanced at Lyanna before shifting his focus fully onto the game. After nearly half a month of high-intensity training and competition, the injury in his arm was starting to show signs of worsening. He steadied his thoughts and forcibly suppressed the pain that was slowly surfacing. The first game began. KR's teamwork was tight, every move solid and well-coordinated. Asher's tempo and predictions were on point. Just 20 minutes in, their team's gold lead was crushing DG. As the final team fight began, I held full control over the situation. Just as we were about to wipe out the enemy team, our marksman was suddenly ambushed. And of all times, my arm flared with sharp pain. My fingers spasmed, and I delayed my ultimate by 2 seconds. The entire fight flipped in an instant. KR got wiped. DG revived 2 members and quickly regained gold advantage. While waiting to respawn, I clenched one fist, while swiping rapidly with the other hand to analyze the battlefield. Marksman and mid will respawn together. Protect the crystal, Liam. Clear the waves. Support scout vision. I'll solo pick off someone. After quickly giving commands, I grabbed my phone again, eyes locked on the screen. The moment I revived, I charged forward. But that team fight mistake had been fatal. Even with our full 5 pushing to the limit, we couldn't recover the win for Game 1. Halftime break. Kenji stepped off the stage, smiling brightly, and walked straight toward Lyanna. So, Lyanna, didn't I say replacing Asher was the best decision? But instead of the praise he expected, he got a bucket of cold water to the face. You think I didn't notice? If it weren't for that one team fight mistake, do you really think you could have beaten him? Kenji's smile faltered, his tone grew defensive. If he made a mistake, that just proves his decision-making is flawed. Lyanna, however, gave a cold sneer, her gaze locked on Asher's direction. That was an external factor. His decision-making has never failed. In her line of sight, Asher was smiling apologetically at his teammates before taking a water bottle from a girl. The girl seemed very familiar with him. She even gently massaged the arm wrapped in the brace. Lyanna's eyes instantly welled up. Her fists trembled at her sides. God knows how badly she wanted to run over and question Asher. Why did he leave the base without a word? Why was he getting so close to another woman? Why was he playing for KR? Suddenly remembering something, she waved over the team manager. When does Asher's contract expire? Didn't he already sign on as our head coach? The manager looked momentarily confused, then answered, President Lyanna, didn't you know? Asher never signed the coaching contract. His player contract expired just a few days ago, and he said he sent the termination report directly to you. The announcement for Game 2 preparations echoed throughout the arena. Lyanna blankly turned her eyes toward Kenji, who was walking back onto the stage. The memory of her phone disappearing in the bar the other night flashed through her mind. Something inside her snapped. Kenji didn't notice Lyanna's expression. He strutted confidently to his seat, then lifted his chin in a taunt, making a mocking gesture as he locked eyes with Asher. Asher's gaze slid right over him as if he didn't exist. He calmly sat down and put on his headset. Game 2 began. Asher tightened his wrist brace and poured everything into the match. KR dominated completely. Total control, total momentum. By the second half of the game, their victory was nearly guaranteed. As the in-game announcement declared defeat for the opposing team, Kenji slammed down his headset in frustration. He walked off stage silently and sat beside a grim-faced Lyanna. We need to talk after the match, she said. Kenji assumed it was about losing Game 2. He didn't think much of it and just nodded dismissively. The final game started soon after. As expected, KR completely steamrolled DG. Kenji was practically hunted the entire match. In the last 3 minutes, He suddenly slammed his keyboard and yanked off his headset before walking off the stage. The bullet comments on the live stream exploded, scrolling twice as fast as normal. What kind of move is that? Did Kenji just rage quit? This feels familiar. Remember the last DG exhibition match? Asher rage quit mid-game. No way. Look at these last few matches. Asher has been absolutely dominating. You really think he rage quit? Has anyone considered this? What if it was Kenji who rage quit last time too? The user who posted that comment had a very high level, so the bullet comment was enlarged and floated on the main screen for nearly 10 seconds, long enough for everyone at the venue to see it clearly. Chapter 17. Offstage. Anna put away her phone right after sending a bullet comment. She opened her arms with a bright smile, welcoming Asher in a joyful, tight embrace. Within seconds, everyone crowded around them. Asher, champion. Our KR won the championship. Does this mean Asher has officially completed the Grand Slam? Anna looked up at Asher, her eyes sparkling. Congratulations, Asher. Come on, let's get you checked again and let you rest for tonight. After the award ceremony tomorrow, we'll throw you a proper celebration. She carried his things and led him all the way back to the base. No one noticed the dark expression in Lyanna's eyes behind them. The entire DG team was shrouded in silence. No one dared to speak. Lyanna returned to the hotel with a cold face, slamming the door shut behind her. A new email suddenly popped into her inbox. She opened it, and her pupils shrank, her fingertips trembling harder and harder. Moments later, the phone hit the floor. The file in the inbox contained all the evidence of Kenji framing and defaming Asher, including bullying teammates and assaulting fans. All of it orchestrated by Kenji himself. Come to my room now. 2 minutes later, Kenji knocked on the door. Lyanna yanked him inside. I'll give you one last chance. That night at the bar, what did Asher send? Was it you who deleted the message? Behind her, Kenji clenched his fists, but his face instantly twisted into a pitiful expression of disbelief. You still don't believe me? I already told you, I didn't do anything. Lyanna stared at him with a blank expression. Fine. Then the accusations about bullying teammates and assaulting fans. Did you have anything to do with that? Kenji's eyes suddenly widened. That wasn't me. And besides, I got hurt too. Lyanna nodded, then handed him her phone. Then how do you explain this, Kenji? I once saw you as no different from my own brother. That's why I did everything I could to support your dream. But you set Asher up, drove him away, partied the night before a championship, and rage quit mid-match. After all this, how can you stay in this team with a straight face? You're not even half the man Asher is. Kenji stared at the email content, his eyes turning red. Then suddenly he laughed. Hey, and you're any better? You made him take the fall for me, forced him to live in a storage room, took away his gear, postponed the wedding. Wasn't that all you're doing too? Stop pretending, Lyanna. You liked me too, didn't you? The only reason you got with him was because he reminded you of me. Now that he's gone, it's the perfect chance for us. As he spoke, he leaned closer, his hand snaking around her waist suggestively. Slap. Lyanna shoved him away without hesitation, delivering a clean, loud slap. I've only ever loved Asher. He's the one who stood by me and by DG all the way. If your heart isn't in the game anymore, then after tomorrow's award ceremony, leave. DG doesn't need you anymore. I'll have your sister pick you up. But the debt you owe Asher, we'll settle that once you're home. Kenji tried to speak again, but Lyanna cut him off impatiently. She waved her hand, signaling for him to get out. Kenji's eyes darkened slightly. He turned and left. His plan had been to get rid of Asher and have Lyanna willingly hand DG over to him. But now, Kenji flexed his fingers and sent out a message. Is everything ready? At tomorrow's award ceremony, I want to destroy him completely. Asher knew none of this. His injury felt worse than before, as if the wound had been torn open again. After checking, Anna Sr. left behind a few boxes of medicine and advised Asher to suspend all competitive activities for the time being. Anna applied the medicine for him. It's all right. The tournament's over, and you've completed your Grand Slam. Just focus on the award ceremony tomorrow. She wasn't wrong. Asher let out a quiet breath, feeling grateful that things had ended well. The next morning, KR was fully prepped and headed to the award venue. On the way, they ran into several other teams. Everyone offered congratulations and polite greetings. Our support player, all these people are so two-faced. Before Worlds started, they were all whispering behind your back. Now that Asher's won the championship, they're all over you. Asher smiled. It's all right. That's normal. Any sport, being bad is a sin. Anna said nothing, just tapping away silently on her phone. After she sent her last message, she finally looked up. There was a smile on her face as she waved her phone in front of Asher. Asher, one more surprise for you today. Chapter 18. The pre-show warm-up at the awards ceremony dragged on for hours. It wasn't until 3 hours later that the actual awards began. After KR received the team trophy, Asher was asked to remain on stage. The host followed the usual script. Asher, as the first player in esports history to complete a Grand Slam. How do you feel? Asher had been told in advance that this segment was coming, so he wasn't nervous. He calmly picked up the mic. Of course, it's an incredible honor. Besides thanking my own hard work, I also want to thank my former organization for their support and my current team for believing in me. When he mentioned DG, he meant it with genuine gratitude. Oh, you brought it up yourself. Seems like you don't mind then. May I ask, there was no announcement, and the transfer happened so suddenly right before Worlds. Was there a reason for that? Asher smiled. Nothing to hide. DG truly gave me my first big break. But differing philosophies don't conflict with past appreciation. The host got the answer they wanted and was about to let Asher go. All right. Thank you for sharing, Asher, and congratulations again on your championship victory. You may now step down. Anna, did he really win that championship fair and square? Kenji's voice suddenly boomed from the sound system, magnified 1,000-fold. No one knew where he was at first, but then the spotlights dimmed, all except for one beam that focused on Kenji's wrist brace. His voice echoed again through the arena. Inside that brace is what he used to cheat, the special compound, and it works just like a performance enhancer. The audience gasped. The bullet comments exploded across the screen. Exposed by a former teammate? Is this for real? Sounds legit. Didn't he already have a record? Bullying teammates and stuff. Kenji gave a low, smug laugh as the spotlight shifted to the big screen. The evidence is on the screen now. Everyone, please take a look. Every gaze immediately locked onto the screen, but the footage that lit up wasn't of Asher. It was Kenji, caught rage-quitting during the exhibition match, editing footage to frame Asher for bullying, and chat logs where he incited fans to commit violence. The live camera wavered for a second, but quickly stabilized. After all, both of them were trending figures. The bullet comments blew up. Wait, wasn't this supposed to be Asher's dirt? Why is it Kenji's? Is this legit? Damn, all of this was Kenji's doing. Look at KR's official account. They just posted more evidence. Everything Kenji did is being exposed. Within seconds, hashtags like hashtag Kenji, hashtag Asher, hashtag Kerdo is tolerate nail abuse, hashtag Kenji exposed, and hashtag Justice for Asher all shot to the top of the trending list. And the two people most stunned at that moment were the ones involved. Asher was staring blankly at the screen when suddenly the lights brightened again, and Anna stepped in to take over for the host. Beside her, security guards were escorting a man onto the stage. Everyone, Anna spoke clearly. We've already investigated the allegations against KR player Asher. This man was caught in the resting lounge this morning, holding the exact substance that Mr. Ito claimed to be a performance-enhancing drug. The official hospital and police have confirmed Asher has nothing to do with any doping. In fact, Mr. Ito, your phone contained chat logs linked to you and the real culprit. As she spoke, the chat messages were displayed on the big screen. Kenji, hiding in the corner, tried to run but was immediately restrained by the police and brought to the stage. Cameras pointed directly at him. The flashes were endless. Kenji panicked and shouted Lyanna's name like a drowning man. Those videos are fake. Lyanna, you believe me, right? Tell them they're fake. I didn't do those things. But in the next second, Lyanna stepped on stage, staring hard at him. All of those videos are real. The company only had Asher take the blame to protect you. But Kenji, you've gone too far. Then she turned to Asher, her eyes filled with emotion. Asher, did you really transfer to KR just to spite me? You've seen now, DG will terminate Kenji's contract. We've cleared your name. Isn't it time to stop being angry and come back? Asher looked at her too, but his expression was ice cold. No. Chapter 19. Lyanna's smile froze on her face. She forced a grin and asked, what? Asher looked straight at her, calm but firm. I said no. It's not out of spite. I just won't be going back. Chairwoman Lyanna, our contract is terminated. I have no ties with DG anymore. Lyanna acted like she couldn't hear Asher. She spoke to herself as if convincing both of them. But the coaching agreement is all ready. You don't want to coach, right? You want to keep playing? I can arrange that. Once Kenji's contract is voided, you can come back as a starting player again. How about that? Asher fiddled with the microphone, speaking mildly. No, like I said, I'm not going back to DG. Lyanna began to panic. Her fists clenched slightly at her sides, trembling. You're really just going to walk away from teammates you fought side by side with for years? Asher let out a low laugh. What else should I do? When they abandoned me, and when you abandoned me, it was just as clean, just as easy. Lyanna bit down hard on her lip, her eyes reddening. And what about us? Asher, what about our 5 years? Weren't we supposed to get married at that? Asher finally looked up at her and sighed softly. Lyanna, the moment you threw me under the bus to protect Kenji, when you postponed our wedding for him, we were already done. 5 years of loyalty? I've already paid it back. Taking the fall, the warehouse, the gear, the injury. I paid it all. Let it go, Lyanna. We're over. With that, he turned around and walked off the stage, not caring about the eyes on him or the chaos he left behind. Behind him, Lyanna's voice rang out, raw, desperate, and full of pain. But Asher didn't have the heart to turn around anymore. She was shaking all over. She had only meant to try and keep him around when the transfer happened, but now it felt like her heart was being crushed. She no longer cared about the murmurs from the audience or the flurry of bullet comments online. She stood there in a daze until Asher's silhouette disappeared behind the exit. Then she slowly straightened up and turned her gaze to Kenji, standing beside her. Fury boiled up, consuming all reason. She waved for security to take him away and followed them down. She didn't care how the venue handled the aftermath anymore. She knew one thing. Kenji had ruined everything. If I remember right, she said coldly, you insisted on going pro to avoid a marriage your family arranged. You didn't want to be someone's stay-at-home husband, right, Kenji? Kenji, hands bound by the guards, was thrown to the ground. When he heard that, he immediately scrambled forward on his knees. Lyanna, please. I can't go back. If I end up as a living son-in-law, I'll be humiliated for life. I'm begging you. I know I was wrong. Don't send me back. Lyanna stepped back to put distance between them. She pulled out her phone and made a call. When are you picking your brother up? You saw what he did, right? Yeah, tomorrow morning. I'll meet you at the airport. She hung up and looked at Kenji, disbelief in his eyes. After a moment, he let out 2 bitter laughs. Hey, Lyanna, you really think sending me back is the end of it? You think I can't find my way back into the esports world? Lyanna frowned, then glanced at him with open disgust. She waved her hand. Someone come here. Break his arm. Not entirely, just bad enough that it won't heal properly. If you can't keep your hands off sabotage, let me help. Try playing esports without a working arm. Blame yourself. You messed with the one person you should never have touched. With that, she turned and walked away. By the time she reached the end of the hallway, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the room behind her. Her phone buzzed twice. She looked at the screen before stepping into a car. Private banquet room at the sponsor's hotel, B206. KR's victory party. Outside the banquet door, Lyanna thought of Asher's cold, merciless eyes and suddenly felt unsure. She was afraid. Afraid he'd reject her again without hesitation. She lingered outside for a long time, listening to the lively laughter and cheering inside. Then someone called out in a teasing voice. Anna, do you like Asher, or what? You've been staring at him nonstop. Just confess already. Anna's voice answered with a smile. What are you hyping me up for? I already confessed. Asher said he'd give me an answer after the championship. That set off even louder cheers. Asher, say something. Say yes. Say yes. The next second, Asher finally opened his mouth, voice filled with excitement and emotion. Lyanna couldn't bear to hear the answer. She burst through the door and interrupted Asher. I don't agree. Asher, you can't say yes to her. Chapter 20. The private room fell silent almost instantly. Everyone turned toward the source of the voice. Anna reacted first. She let out a cold laugh and stepped in front of Lyanna. Chairwoman Lyanna, I think you're at the wrong place. This is KR's victory party. Only then did Lyanna shift her gaze to her. Anna Sue, the heiress of the Sue family. From the first time she saw Anna beside Asher, Lyanna had already investigated her background thoroughly. Anna remained composed and nodded. That's me. We have other matters tonight, so I'm afraid we won't be able to entertain. Chairwoman Lyanna, please leave. But Lyanna didn't move. She turned back to Asher. Asher, come with me. I need to talk to you. Anna scoffed. Say whatever you need to say right here. Asher nodded as well. Yeah, say it here. Lyanna clenched her teeth, wanting to step forward, but Anna blocked her again. She glared at Anna, then finally opened her mouth, her voice slightly hoarse. I'm sorry, Asher. Will you come back? I've already dealt with Kenji. Stop being angry with me. Please, come back to DG, alright? Asher shook his head without hesitation. His voice was steady and decisive. No, even without Kenji, there'll still be people like Marcus or Liam. I'm grateful to DG and to you, but I've already paid my dues. Where I go next, that's my choice. Lyanna nearly screamed, her voice cracking with desperation. What about me then? You're just going to abandon me? What about our 5 years? I regret it. I know I was wrong. Please, come back with me. Asher closed his eyes. When he opened them again, he took 2 steps back to create distance between them. But I don't love you anymore. At some point, they had wandered into an alley next to the cafe. Asher turned slightly, ready to leave, when he suddenly heard a rush of footsteps behind him, exactly like the day on the tournament stage. He turned to look, and behind him was a group of gangsters, rough-looking street thugs from the slums. One of them, dressed in black, was rushing toward him with a knife in hand. His stabbing motion was fast, too fast for Asher to react. In the blink of an eye, someone crashed into him from the side. In that instant, Lyanna had taken Asher's place. He saw it clearly. The blade had been aimed precisely at his arm. Ah! Lyanna let out a muffled cry that snapped Asher's attention to her. He looked down. Blood had already dyed the pavement red. Lyanna was clutching her arm, pushing Asher with her other hand. Oh, you can't let your arm get hurt again. But the thugs were already surrounding them. There was no way Asher could get Lyanna out with him. Just as the man raised his knife again to strike, Asher instinctively lifted his arm to block. And then suddenly, Anna's voice cut through the chaos. Touch him, and I'll make sure you regret it. Chapter 21. The bodyguards, trained by the Sue family, were top tier, each and every one of them. In less than a minute, the gang of thugs was silently subdued. There was no time for on-the-spot questioning. Anna ordered them to tie up the ringleader and toss him into the trunk. She took off her silk scarf and wrapped it around Lyanna's arm to stop the bleeding, then let out a scornful laugh. Idiot. Coming to a place like this without protection. You're lucky it wasn't serious. You 3, take her to the hospital. Once she gave her orders, Anna finally turned toward Asher, checking him over with obvious anxiety. You're not hurt, are you? God, if I'd known, I wouldn't have played it so polite. I only stayed back because I thought you 2 were just talking. I let out a breath of relief and shook my head. I'm fine. She took the hit for me. But Anna just sneered. She deserved it. You know who those thugs were working for? I frowned. No, it couldn't be her. These guys are usually just street rats. When they're broke, they rob. Anna raised her phone. It was a message from her bodyguard just moments ago. Miss, a few of them confessed they were paid off by Kenji. Anna looked at me. So you think it has nothing to do with her? That Kenji, the reason he targeted you in the first place wasn't it because of her? She sighed, and her voice finally softened as she pulled me into an embrace. When I saw you covered in blood just now, I was terrified, Asher. Promise me this can't ever happen again. I was still shaking myself. I nodded seriously. The warmth in her arm stirred something deep in me. Anna had saved me again. You still want to go see her at the hospital? Anna asked. No. I've said everything I needed to say. Let's go back to the base. Anna nodded and took me to the car. Since transferring to KR, I hadn't been to their China base yet. What I didn't expect was how meticulous she was. Your dorm's been remodeled to match your room in Paris. I've also ordered a brand new set of peripherals. After what happened tonight, just rest up. Everything else can wait until tomorrow. With that, Anna turned to leave, giving me space to recover. But as she took her first step, I reached out and stopped her. Anna, why do you like me? She turned back, unusually serious. When my mom died, I was in a dark place. You were the one who pulled me out of it. When you were playing in that internet cafe, your eyes were full of fire and strength. You're more than good enough, Asher. I don't need a reason to like you. Someone like you was born to be loved. My throat tightened. No one had ever spoken to me with such certainty. And what if I didn't say yes? Anna smiled. Then that's your business. I'd still like you, maybe for the rest of my life. After all, I say yes. Anna blinked, as if she didn't quite register what I said. What? I swallowed, my throat dry and sore. I say yes. Not for any reason other than I like you too. Is that okay? Anna's smile bloomed, unstoppable. Of course it is. She couldn't hold back anymore and kissed me, finally kissing the person she had waited almost 10 years for. The next morning, Anna and I walked out of the dorm together. Her assistant pretended not to notice anything, simply greeting us with a grin. Anna, we found Kenji. He's in the basement. Anna nodded, casually wrapping her arm around mine. Let's go take a look. In the basement, Kenji was curled up in a corner. When he saw us, he didn't react at all. Anna folded her arms and walked up to give him a light kick. Why do you keep trying to hurt Asher? Did you really think that if he couldn't play, the starting spot would fall to you? You seriously have no clue where you stand. And what about Lyanna? You used her to dodge a marriage arrangement and tried to steal DG from her, right? If she finds out, what do you think will happen? Kenji finally responded. He looked up at Anna and slowly shook his head. Just then, there was a knock on the door. The assistant poked her head in. Anna, someone's here to see Asher. It's Lyanna. Anna tightened her grip around my arm and smirked. Perfect timing. Let her in. When Lyanna was brought in by the bodyguards, she immediately saw me and Anna standing close together. Instinctively, she stepped forward but was held back by the guards. Anna smiled at her. Chairwoman Lyanna, I'm guessing you don't know yet. Kenji only got close to you to avoid an arranged marriage. Since we've crossed paths a few times, let me do you a favor and tell you. What happens to him now, that's up to you. But I heard he's supposed to marry into a powerful family, right? I actually know someone who'd be a perfect match. Julia from the South Side. In her 50s. Widowed. Looking for a young man. How about we send him her way? Lyanna narrowed her eyes. Everyone in their circle knew Julia's ruthless and venomous methods. Yet, this seemingly harmless girl standing in front of her had that level of calculation. But she didn't really care about Kenji anymore. Lyanna raised her chin slightly. If I agree to your proposal, can I have Asher back? Anna laughed like she'd just heard the joke of the year. Chairwoman Lyanna, aren't you a businesswoman? Surely you understand equivalent exchange. Trade him for Kenji? What are you thinking? Besides, Asher is priceless. How do you even begin to measure that? With that, she reached up and pulled me down by the collar right in front of Lyanna, and I smiled, kissing her back without hesitation. Lyanna stood frozen, completely stunned. And in that moment, something in her mind finally snapped. Chapter 22. Lyanna opened her mouth blankly, and it took her a while to force out a sound. You too. The kiss ended. I wrapped an arm around Anna, turned toward Lyanna, and nodded. Yes, we're together now. We're going on a trip in a few days, and when we get back, we're getting married. Lyanna, it's time for you to let go. It took her a long moment to process those words. She shook her head over and over. No, no way. Finally, she broke free from the bodyguards and fell to her knees in front of me. No way. This isn't real, right, Asher? You're supposed to marry me. You're just trying to hurt me, right? That's what this is. The basement filled with Lyanna's hysterical denial and Kenji's gut-wrenching sobs. I gently covered Anna's ears and let her out. For those two inside, send Kenji to Julia in Southside. As for Lyanna, just send her back to her family. Anna nodded and followed me back to the training room. When Lyanna arrived at the Liu family home, her father was already waiting in the living room with a dark expression. Lyanna, I gave you a chance. You didn't want to work in the company, so I let you start a club. No matter how big a mess you made, I cleaned it up for you. Now you embarrassed us on a global stage at Worlds, and you went and provoked the Su family heiress. You've dragged the whole Liu corporation down with you. I can't cover for you anymore. Your club will be handed over to someone else in 3 days. You're leaving the country with the secretary. You'll spend the next 5 years at our overseas branch. End of story. Lyanna snapped her head up, instinctively resisting. No, I won't go. Mr. Liu's tone was firm and final. You won't? Then you can cover the investment losses yourself. Chairman Su has already called me personally. I will not let the Liu family's legacy be ruined because of you. This is not up for discussion. If you won't go, get out of the Liu family. He tossed a plane ticket down and walked off without another word. The ticket landed right in front of her, the date clearly printed, 3 days from now. Lyanna clutched the ticket tightly, sitting in silence for who knows how long as the light dimmed around her. Her phone suddenly rang, its screen glaring in the darkness. Lyanna, where are you? The red carpet ceremony is about to start. Her eyes lit up for a brief moment. Her throat was dry from not speaking for so long. I'm on my way. She hung up and jumped to her feet, ignoring her numb legs and dizziness. This might be her last chance to win Asher back. The sports red carpet festival. It's just walking the carpet and answering a few questions. Don't be nervous. I'll be watching from the audience. Anna straightened my collar one last time and watched me go up. After winning Worlds, I'd become the first Grand Slam champion in esports history and one of the most talked about figures in the industry. After the dramatic scene at the awards ceremony, this was my first public appearance. The audience craned their necks to catch a glimpse of me, and every step I took down the red carpet felt especially long. Camera flashes exploded from every direction. It wasn't until I reached the host that things calmed slightly. Asher, congratulations on completing your Grand Slam. Now, let's get to what the public is dying to know. How serious is your arm injury? Will you continue competing? And if so, when will we see you play next? I picked up the mic, eyes locked on a specific spot in the crowd, and my voice was brimming with laughter. I'll definitely be back on the battlefield. As for when, you'll have to ask Miss Sue. She handles our household schedule. There was a brief moment of stunned silence. Then the crowd erupted in cheers. Back when I was in DG, few people even knew I was with Lyanna. After what happened at the ceremony, the truth had already made the rounds online. Everyone had been waiting for a confirmation, and I gave it to them. Anna in the crowd froze for a second. I hadn't warned her I was going to mention her. But then she smiled helplessly and walked right up on stage. Under the full spotlight, she took the mic and said, eyes full of love, as long as it doesn't hurt your health, I'll support you unconditionally. But for the next 3 months, you probably won't be playing. I smiled, pulled her into my arms, and picked up where she left off. We'll be traveling for a while to rest and heal. After we get married, I'll return to the competition. The crowd erupted into another wave of cheers and teasing whistles. Every person present was genuinely clapping and offering heartfelt blessings. Everyone except Lyanna, sitting silently in the far corner. She wore a wide-brimmed hat, her face hidden, but her eyes lifted quietly to watch Asher on stage. Suddenly, memories of their 5 years together came flooding back. How many times had Asher wanted to make their relationship public, only to be stopped by her? She had always prioritized the company and her career, and now she had truly, utterly lost. In a daze, she suddenly felt a pair of eyes on her. Snapping back to reality, Lyanna looked up, just in time to lock eyes with Asher on stage. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. I was the first to look away. A moment later, Lyanna gave a bitter smile, lowered her gaze, and turned to leave. 30 steps to the exit. I picked up the microphone again. I have something to say. These past 5 years, thank you all. 15 steps. I paused. But now that chapter is over. It's time to begin the next 5. 3 steps. I took a deep breath. I wish us all a goodbye that lasts forever. 3 days later, at the airport. Asher, what are you looking at? Come on, come on. Boarding already. I pulled my gaze back, wrapped Anna tightly in my arms, and smiled. Nothing. Let's go, baby. In the busy departure hall behind us, Lyanna also looked away. After a moment of stillness, she lowered her head, tugged her hat brim down, and boarded a flight heading in the opposite direction. Outside the window, a gust of wind scattered the clouds. This time, for real, we will never meet again.